Hello and welcome to my third post-operative breast cancer Pilates session. You don't necessarily have to do these in order. I'm trying to progressively make them a little harder. And for today's session, we're going to do some work on the floor and also in sitting on the floor. So please do try and have a nice thick Pilates mat. If you have a yoga mat, that's fine. Please perhaps put it on a nice cushioned carpet. But I really would recommend you have something supportive underneath you. Although this class is relatively short, you are going to be spending time on the floor on your back. You're also going to need a chair or perhaps a wall or windowsill to help support you with one of the warm-up exercises. You're going to need some head cushions. So I'm using a couple of towels, hand towels folded on the mat. You're going to need a small cushion to place between your knees. And then also, if you have a resistance band at home, great. If not, I'm going to show you how you can use a belt instead for one of our stretches. Okay, so when you're ready then, we'll make a start. So we'll think about our standing posture as we have done before. So take those toes apart and then those heels. Think about growing roots out of the bottom of your big toe, your little toe and the heel. So you want to feel that weight nice and evenly distributed and just gently grounding you through all of those points underneath the feet. As we work up through the body, think about the knees gently soft. Take hold of the hips. Tilt them forwards and backwards. So in previous classes I've recommended that you visualize a bucket. Your pelvis is a bucket full of water and we're gently tipping it forwards and then backwards. So come to rest in the middle of those tilts. So a midway position. Everyone will have a different range of movement, so whichever is in the middle for you is fine. Soften down through the rib cage. Think about the collarbones being wide, those shoulder blades gently gliding down at the back. Imagine you've got a puppet string gently connected to the crown of the head, lengthening you up towards the ceiling, that chin just tucking ever so slightly. So we're going to start off with a few shoulder shrugs. So let's shrug those shoulders towards the ears and relax them down. Nice regular breaths. Just those shoulders working as we lift and gently lower. So we'll do a few more of those. And then relax the arms down, or the shoulder down I should say, after that last one. We're going to loosen off a little through the head and neck now. So if we slowly lower chin to chest and then circle that chin towards one shoulder, back to the middle and then across to the other side. So nice and gently, that chin just moving in an arc from your breastbone up to one shoulder and then across to the other. And we'll do just one more on each side. And once you're back to that starting position, gently lifting your gaze, lengthening the back of the neck and tucking that chin ever so slightly. So we're going to need the chair or maybe some support for our next exercise. You don't have to use this, but just to get the movement going to start with, it really does help. So check those feet are still nice and grounded there underneath you. Engage through the centre. Visualize that puppet string on the crown of the head, gently lengthening towards the ceiling. And we're going to come up onto our toes and then lower. So nice regular breaths. Imagine your pelvis here. We want it to stay nice and level. And we'll do one more on the toes. And then we're going to add in some knee bends. So we'll just do a couple of bends of the knee. And then I'm going to link all of these movements together. So if you're ready, focus on something in front of you that isn't moving. As you're holding onto your chair or your windowsill, whatever it is that you're using, just check you're able to maintain this lovely position you've set. So position yourself in a good place there. So we're going to come up onto our toes, bend our knees, place our heels down, and then lengthen, straighten the legs. So toes, knees, heels down, and then lengthen. Toes, knees, heels, and lengthen. Nice regular breaths all the way through. And as you're doing this, just coming up as far as is comfortable onto the toes, same with that knee bend, the heels come down and lengthen. We want to try and keep everything nice and parallel. So keep those ankles directly over the balls of the feet there that you're balancing on. And when you get a little better, if you find this easy, feel free to place the hands on the hips or have them floating in front. And it's toes, knees, heels, and lengthen. So we're going to do just one more. Please do build up the number of repetitions that you do. Work out how comfortable you are, whether you're holding that chair or whether you're doing it without. But it's the control that we want to try and achieve, and just get you slightly out of breath as you're moving there. Okay, so if we place the hands on top of the shoulders, and then we're going to slowly circle one elbow. So gently draw circles with that elbow, 3 or 4 in one direction, and then we're going to do 3 or 4 in the opposite direction. Nice regular breaths all the way through. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Nice regular breaths. 3 or 4 in one direction, and then 3 or 4 in the opposite direction. So nice, slow, controlled movement, and always within your capabilities and before you get to too much pain. Stretching, a little bit of tightness is okay, but please don't feel you have to work through pain. It's really important you take it at your own pace. Okay, so we're going to come down onto the floor. I'm going to just place my chair out of the way so that you can't see it. Have your belt or your band and your cushion just where it's easy to grab when you need to. So when you're coming down onto the floor, please do it in a way that's comfortable for you. If it's uncomfortable to press onto the arms, just nice and gently onto your side. If you've had any lower tummy surgery, and then roll over onto your back. If this is really uncomfortable for you, then please do stick with doing a few more of the seated and standing classes that I've done for Breast Cancer Haven, and only coming down onto the floor when you're relatively comfortable to do so. So before we set our position, I want you to think about your head cushion. So rather than having a really plump pillow like you would in bed, I want you to think about your ears being in line with your shoulder. Now I know it's really difficult for you to see when you're lying down, but think about the back of the neck. Does it feel like it's supporting itself? We want to have just the head on the head cushion if you can, and have that head cushion so it just props the head a little to allow the ear to be in line with the shoulders. So when you're ready, think about the feet being hip width apart, those knees as well, creating tram lines. If you place your hands on the lower tummy, you'll feel the bony points on the front of the hips here. We want to create tram lines up to those bony points. So feet and knees are hip width apart. The next thing we're going to think about is our neutral spine position. And when we're standing, we were tilting that pelvis forwards and backwards. As we lie down, I want you to think about very gently flattening the lower back, so the tailbone lifts ever so slightly, and then rocking the pelvis in the opposite direction, so that lower back just arches a little. So flatten and then arch that lower back. And come to rest in a midway position, again, between those extremes that's comfortable for you. And we can double check. So as a rule of thumb, if you think about your belly button, 2 bony points on the front of the hips and your pubic bone, we want them to create a level diamond shape in the lower tummy. So they want to be level with each other. If you find that your belly button is much higher than your pubic bone or vice versa, just have another couple of tilts in each direction and see if you can come to rest where it really is level. Think about your rib cage being nice and soft. The ribs on the back of the rib cage melt into the floor, but the ribs at the front here are nice and relaxed as well, just softening down towards the hip bones. The collarbones are wide. If you can, with those shoulders gently tucking behind you, but again, just within your comfort level. And I've talked about the back of the neck being nice and long with that head on the head cushion. So the neck, we're using those muscles to help support the head and neck there. So we're going to start off with our hundreds in line. We're going to take the cushion, place it between the knees again. So when you build up to your hundreds, and you can hold your pelvic floor 30 to 50% of your maximum, then feel free to try without this cushion. But we want to try and hold it to the count of 100 or roughly a minute. So we're going to have a go now. So once you've set this lovely position, you're nice and supported on your mat, engage through the centre, draw up the pelvic floor, squeeze the head cushion just nice and gently, and we'll pulse the arms. So nice regular breaths all the way through. And if you need to, relax the arms down if that's uncomfortable, but you're able to keep this centre and the knees, that connection still there, then please do with nice regular breaths. If we change the hand position as well, those palms up towards the ceiling. If you feel you lose that connection of the pelvic floor, then by all means just stop for a moment, draw it up again, squeeze on the knees and go again. In some of my other classes, we tend to re-engage that centre every 10 counts in the first few weeks. So if you need to do that, please do. It's not a problem. Pelvic floor is like any muscle. We need to build up that endurance, and it does take time. It really does. So change that hand position again if you need to. Palms to the floor. And we'll do a few more. So if you're a fast counter and you've got to 100 already, please do relax those arms down. I'm going to do another 10 counts or so. Remember, it's roughly a minute that we're aiming to do this for. So relax the arms down. Take the cushion out from between the knees. Place it just out of the way and take a couple of nice deep breaths in and then out. So we're going to gently stretch before we do our next couple of exercises. So if it's comfortable for you, we're going to hug both knees in towards the chest. If that's not comfortable, please hug one at a time. So both knees, you can either hug holding onto the shins, or you can hug the thighs there between your legs. And then keep hold of one leg. So if you're holding just one knee, you can do the same. Lengthen the other foot away, nice and long. So we get a little stretch in opposite directions through that pelvis. And then we're going to change over legs. So please, as you're stretching that other leg away, just as far as is comfortable for you. If it doesn't quite go straight, don't worry. Again, flexibility does increase. So the more you do this, you'll probably find it gets a little easier. So change over legs again. We're going to do one more in each direction. I'm just going to move my cushions out of the way. I've just realised they're going to be in the way for the next exercise there. And last one on this side. And regular breaths whilst you're holding this stretch. And then we're going to place our feet back onto the floor. So for our next exercise, just make sure there's nothing next to you on the floor, because we're going to be sliding our hands around as if we're making snow angels, I guess. Obviously if you've got something in the way, you're going to have to move it. So perhaps just check that the coast is clear first. We've got that neutral spine position, so that diamond in the lower tummy is nice and level there. Engage through the centre, and then with your palms to the floor to start with, slide the hands out just as far as is comfortable, maybe halfway to the shoulder. Turn the palms up and then continue sliding those hands as far as is comfortable for you. And then we'll come back to the start. So just before you get back to that starting position, turn the palms over so they're flat on the floor again. So nice regular breaths. We're going to slide those hands up, pivot them over so that the palms are up towards the ceiling. Continue that movement just as far as is comfortable. And then slide them back down. Turn the palms over and continue with the hands back to that starting position. So nice regular breaths, gradually building up this range of movement. Roughly 6, maybe 8. So if you're getting more comfortable with the movement, you can take the arms a little further, gradually build up that number of repetitions. But the shoulders stay relaxed down away from the ears. Pivot the hands over. If you can continue those hands so that they come above the head, that's lovely. And palms down again to finish back to that starting position. So I'm going to do one more. Palms down. When you get to just before shoulder height with the hands, pivot those hands, palms up towards the ceiling. Continue the hands just as far as is comfortable. And then all the way back down to that starting position. And relax them there on the mat next to you. So with that exercise, it's really important that you work within your own comfort level. Yes, I can take my arms quite a way up, but after a few weeks you'll find that your range of movement will improve as well if you take it nice and gently to start with. Okay, so our next exercise, we're going to work mainly through the legs a little more with our one leg stretch. So check that diamond is level in the lower tummy. The shoulders are relaxed after doing that last exercise. Engage through the centre. Place your hands on the lower tummy here. So your thumbs are roughly in line with your belly button. Maybe your index fingers just by your pubic bone there. With that centre engaged, we're going to slide 1 foot away, about halfway to being straight, and then it returns. And the same on the other side. And then it returns. Exhale as you lengthen, inhale as you return. And the reason I put your hands on your lower tummy, because I want your pelvis to stay nice and still, is just a lengthening of that leg, one at a time, but maintaining this lovely strong position that you've created in your back and the pelvis. So gradually build up until you can have a straight leg without that pelvis moving. I can't stress that enough, it's really important. Exhale as you lengthen, inhale as that foot returns. And we're going to build up to roughly 8 on each leg. If you're really comfortable, maybe 10. But if you only do 4 or 5 on each leg, that's okay as well. It's really important to try and maintain that control of your position. So I'm going to do one more on this other leg. Like I say, build up the number of repetitions that you do. And when you finish that last one, relax those arms down. Now, if you feel you need to change the position that you're sitting in, please do. If you need to sit up and then come back down onto the floor. But if you're still comfortable, I'm going to keep going. I'll leave it up to you if you need to press pause and change position there. So we're going to do another arm exercise next. We're going to do some arm scissors this time. So when you're ready, engage through the centre. And then we're going to slowly bring one hand up so that it's directly above the shoulder, and then it lowers back down. Same on the other side. So nice, slow, controlled movement. Just taking this arm as far as is comfortable for you, and then it returns. So with my next movement, I'm going to take that arm just a little further. So if you can, take the hand so it comes past the shoulder. Keep those ribs nice and relaxed, and then it returns. And same on the other side. As we increase this range of movement, I want you, if you can, try to exhale as the hand comes overhead. Inhale as it returns. The reason I'm asking you to exhale, if I show you with this side, if we breathe out, we soften that rib cage down and we make sure it's just the shoulder that's doing the work for us, and then it returns. So if you're nice and comfortable with this range of movement, you can keep your ribs nice and relaxed. What we're going to do now is we're going to have both of the arms moving, and we're going to scissor them. So if we start off with one arm up, the other down, and then we change. Nice regular breaths, keeping those ribs fixed down towards the hip bone, so really soften them down. So this is a much more dynamic movement. Both arms are moving. Start off nice and small if you need to when you come to do both arms together, and then as you progress, it really is a much bigger range of movement. But as I mentioned before, within your own comfort level, please do build up to this. Don't expect to do this in week one. So if we bring both of those arms back down together, the last thing that I want to do is we're going to bring both arms together overhead as we exhale. So take an in-breath, check you're still centered. As you exhale, both arms come up. Inhale to lower. Exhale, both arms come up. Inhale to lower. And again, just a couple more of this movement, especially if you've done all of the others with me as well. And I'm going to make this next one my last one. And then lower back down. Give those shoulders a little shrug. So if you find that you can do all of those movements nice and comfortably, the number of repetitions that you want to be doing is roughly 8 of the single arm on each side. Maybe 8 of the scissors on each arm. And then it would be 8 overhead and 8 return. Don't feel that you have to do those all one after the other. I was only doing a few repetitions of each. So start off with the easiest, maybe do 8. Then start with the full scissors, do 8 on each. And then start with the arms overhead and back, and then do 8. So just mixing it up each time you do this video will give you a bit more of a benefit in the body there. So we're going to stretch into our glutes a little before we finish. So we did this stretch in sitting. I'm going to show you how you can do it in lying as well. So if we place one foot on top of the other knee. Again, if you've had knee surgery, hip surgery, then please nice and gently with this. You want to feel that stretch down into the back of the hip there, into the glutes. If you can't feel the stretch, then maybe press away on that knee in front of you. If you still can't feel that stretch and you know that you're really quite flexible, then maybe take the other foot off of the floor. And then we'll change over. So place one foot on top of the knee. Gently hold that stretch. If you can feel it, then stick with that position. If you can't feel it, press away on the knee in front of you. If you still can't feel that stretch, then, and it's comfortable to do so, then lift the other foot off of the floor. So nice regular breaths whilst you're holding the stretches. Again, if you feel you need to stretch for a little longer, please do. But I'm just going to do them for a shorter amount of time so as not to use up the whole of this session. So our last exercise with our legs here is we are going to do a scissors exercise. And it's important to keep this pelvis nice and stable while we do it. If we place the hands onto that lower tummy again, check its level. That diamond is nice and level in the lower tummy. Engage through the centre. And if we'll start off with our left leg perhaps, slide the foot towards the bottom, lift the foot, and then create what we call a single tabletop. So 90 degrees at the knee over the hip, creating 90 degrees, and then lower. Same on the other side. Slide that foot in first, lift the foot, and then bring it up so that it's level with the knee, and then lower back down. Sliding the foot in first just takes the strain and the weight out of the leg. Lower the foot a little and back down. Exhale as you float the leg up. Inhale as you lower. If you've had lower abdominal surgery, just nice and gently with this exercise. If it is uncomfortable, wait another couple of weeks perhaps before doing it. Exhale as the leg floats up. Inhale as it lowers. And we'll do just a couple more on each side. So scooping that foot forwards towards the bottom before you lift it off of the floor. And if you've got your hands on the lower tummy still, if you can feel lots of seesawing between both sides of the hip or rocking, just nice and gently, really try to engage through that centre a little more so we can stabilise through the pelvis and those hip bones before we lift the leg, and then lower. So I'm going to stretch through our hamstrings. So this is where you're going to need your belt or your band. So if I show you to start with the belt, I'll do one stretch on one leg and I'll use the other for the other leg. So if we place the foot into the middle of the belt, and then take hold of the belt, both ends of the belt in one hand. Stretch that foot towards the ceiling or where you can feel the stretch in the back of the thigh there. Keep the knee a little soft, relax down through the shoulders. If one side is uncomfortable, then hold the belt with the side that is more comfortable. And just nice regular breaths all the way through whilst you're holding that stretch. So that we want to be feeling the stretch in the back of the thigh. So find a position where you do. And nice regular breaths whilst you're holding it. So we're going to change over legs. I'm going to use the band this time. It's exactly the same stretch. Place the band around the foot. And then stretch that foot gently towards the ceiling. Again, hold the band either in two hands or in one. Choose which side is more comfortable for you. But just allow those shoulders to relax. It's really important. Allow the belt or the band to take the strain rather than the upper body. The knee is soft and nice regular breaths all the way through. And then when you finish and you feel that you've stretched both sides roughly the same, placing the belt or the band down by your side, and we're going to slowly come up into sitting. So take your time and come up into a position that's comfortable for you. We're going to do our last couple of exercises in sitting. So if you are comfortable to sit cross-legged, then that's great. If not, feel free to have the legs out long, or you can perhaps scoot the legs to one side there. But I'm going to sit cross-legged. Choose whichever position is comfortable but gets you sitting the most upright. If you know you're not upright, If you know your tailbone is tucked under, that lower back is slightly curved under, then grab that cushion or perhaps the hand towels and just sitting on it. It's not cheating, but it just allows that spine to lengthen beautifully, and that's what we want to try and achieve. So choose that leg position that's comfortable for you. Think about the shoulders being over the top of the hips, that puppet string growing you tall. And then we'll engage through the center. Think about sitting on those seat bones. If you place your right hand down onto the floor, the left hand gently lengthens up towards the ceiling, just as far as you can go. And then we're going to stretch over, bend that right elbow, and then come back to the start. We're going to do the same on the other side. So gently lengthen the right hand up as far as is comfortable, bend that left elbow, and we get a lovely side stretch. So we're going to do a few more on either side, nice regular breaths, just as far as is comfortable for you. It's so important. Keep both of those seat bones glued down and you'll feel that stretch a little more. And I'm not leaning heavily on this supporting arm, but it's there just to stop me falling off of the cushion. If you have your legs in this position, you may find that one side is harder than the other. So what you might like to do is to swap legs if you haven't already, and we'll carry on with another few stretches on either side. So if you have got your legs crossed or your legs out long, I'll finish off with a couple with them out long as well. We're keeping both of those seat bones glued down and just nice and gently stretching from side to side. And then one more on either side. If you've finished already, please do just relax. And like I say, this is quite a strong stretch. You have to be comfortable with those arms overhead. So building up to this, with some of those movements we did on the floor, it was lifting those arms up a little higher. So give those legs a little wriggle if you need to move the position that they're in. If you need to bend them and have your feet on the floor, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to finish off with just one last stretch and exercise here. So when you're ready, sitting up nice and tall just to finish off, place the hands together. Give the shoulders a shrug or a roll. Glide those shoulder blades down away from the ears. Engage through the center. And then slowly lift the hands up in front of the face and then lower. So I've got my palms gently pressed together. Exhale as we slide those hands up. Inhale as they return. So just taking this movement as far as is comfortable for you. If you can get the hands a little higher, above the face there, then that's great, but please do start off nice and small and just as far as is comfortable for you. So I'm going to do one more after this one. Exhaling as the hands raise, inhale as they lower, and then relax them down by your side as you finish that last one. So we're going to slowly come up into standing. Please do it in a way that's comfortable for you. Take your time. If you, I didn't mention when we came up into sitting, if you get vertigo or anything like that, please do take your time. And just check everything feels nice and comfortable. If you want to repeat any of the stretches that I did in this session, please do. If you want to spend a bit more time doing some relaxation and some nice deep breaths, that piece stretch there that we did at the end, it really is lovely. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Hopefully it's a little bit harder than the last one. And should you wish to make a little donation to the Breast Cancer Haven, then please do. And I hope you enjoy the next session that you do. Thank you very much. Goodbye.